what a Sasquatch is?
No.
Well, some of you do and some of you don't. Well, some of you do and some of you don't. Well, some of you do and some of you don't. Well, some of you do and some of you
Howdy doody, everybody. And
Hello.
welcome to the Night Owl. Tex is having to restart his computer, apparently, or his internet, rather. So
Yes.
It's me and Bryan. It's the Monica and
Hi.
Bryan show.
Yay. How's everybody going? We were talking construction before this.
We were. That's what I do for a living. So it was.
Yeah. I was just the guy, I built all these stupid, gated communities in Florida, and we were hiring the construction workers and the temps, and it's just like when you finally buy a place, you invest all that money in something, and you're expecting certain things that should be standard, and they don't give them to you.
Yeah.
It's the equivalent of like buying a new house. I mean, in many ways, it's really weird. It's like the ghosts. You buy a house, like, oh my God, it's our dream home. And you go in there and you hear, get out. You're like, what the hell was that?
Yeah. Bonus.
So
it depends on the haunting. Like my house is haunted and it doesn't bother me.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm not in my house down in Florida. I actually am trying to sell this apartment I have in New York City. And the apartment building is super haunted.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my apartment literally is like a train depot or a bus depot. The spirits coming in and out all the time.
Is it a very old building, or is just got a lot going on in it? Just a lot of life happening or death?
It's the land.
Oh, okay.
So and while we're waiting for Tex, I'll go into it. So
sure.
It's like two buildings and there's a connection. It's one big building, but there's two sides to it. And there's apartments on a certain floor, apartment line that has terraces, which is kind of like you can step out. And, all the people on 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, weird things happen to them. Like, over the years, like, oh, they had cancer. This one has cancer, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
Then you find out the story. Okay. That apartment on the top floor came up, and I told my dad at one point, buy it. He's like, what do I need it? And I'm like, he loved it. But when it was empty, I came in with my brother's Rottweiler, and it was like summery. So it was hot. It's steamy. Like,
right.
There was no, air in the apartment. Everything was closed. We just got it. And I'm walking around going, wow, this is really cool. I wish we had this growing up, because we grew up in a large 1-bedroom. 5 people, 6 dogs, and a whole bunch of crap. Yeah, well, whatever. So I'm walking in, and when you come in and you're forced to go to the right. So as you're going down, it goes down, and then you can see out in the opening to the right. First right is the kitchen. There's a little dining area and a kitchen. Then you go further out. It opens up a little bit more. There's a bedroom small. And then if you go to the left, a couple steps left, there's a big living room that goes to the terrace. There's another bedroom that has a full bath in it. And then if you continue going straight, you can go left to another bedroom that butts up against the terrace, or another bathroom, full bath. So we're in there. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. But my brother's Rottweiler goes to the corner where the extra bathroom is in the other bedroom.
Right.
And he sits down and he's doing the stare up. And then he does this.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay. So I walk over there, and it is ice cold. So me being the genius I am, I come back in one day, and I use a phonetic generator. And I start going around. And it starts talking about a male's name. It talks of another male's name, a woman's name, the Navy, artillery, and love triangle, and whatever. So I'm writing these all down, and I go back and I start Googling it.
Right.
Everybody, this woman's name and the two men come up. One man was in the Navy in the 1800s. The other man was in the artillery end
Mm-hmm.
of the military. They both were having a relationship with the woman who was named. I'm finding all of this.
Right.
And one of them killed the other one by going into like where your pancreas would be.
Oh.
Saber. So I do some more research. And just near my house in New York City, down below, was a foundry. And I don't know if it was the Merrimack or Monitor, but it was built there.
Okay.
Then I find out that where my building is located, it's the land. There were a lot of people that were not desirable, or this is where people would go picnic and people were hung on the land. So what's very interesting is the person on the second floor, both of them had cancer. We didn't know which ones, but I'll guarantee it's stomach or related.
Right.
The third floor, my friend's father died, cancer. His mother got sick with a stomach issue.
My
The
God.
fourth floor, a man and a woman named Jerry. Geraldine didn't smoke. She died of lung cancer. Go to the fifth floor, two people, great people. Both of them get cancer and die. Sixth floor has another problem. Seventh floor, we always had some weird stuff going on there. Some guys like stealing diamonds. The FBI came in. Homeless woman, people making like porn videos in it. Weird apartment, right?
Right.
So I moved into that apartment, and my hand to God, I got a stabbing pain in my stomach. I thought it was food poisoning. It
Right.
was so sharp. And I said, I got, and I left for a bit. And every time I would leave, my stomach would get better. So, yeah, there's something there. But the greatest thing is my mother, who was living there, she's in the hospital. This is years ago. We had a woman from Jamaica who spoke very limited English, wonderful lady taking care of her. And my mother would teach her English and how to read. Like
Okay.
she
Yeah.
was uneducated. So she had to come back in to get some stuff and bring to my mother at night. And she was telling the doorman this one night when I came back. She opened the apartment. The whole apartment is no one's in there. It's pitch black. She took one step in, turned to the right, and sees a gentleman in a waistcoat, an officer, and just from the waist up, and goes, "You're not supposed to be here." He runs right at her and goes through her. She leaves. She doesn't get
I
anything.
bet
She
you
goes, "I won't go
did.
back there alone." Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Did you see
So
anything like that while you were there?
I haven't seen it in there, but in my apartment, my youngest, who is really intuitive,
Mm-hmm.
our roof came in because they fixed our roof by giving us a leak, so we
Right.
had to move this table away. So it was towards this wall. So if you're sitting in two seats, like the head of the table on the side, all you saw was wall and wall. And they're working on homework. And I think she was about 5 or 6 years old. And she looks up and she looks into the corner and looks down, and she's unnerved, and so is her mom sitting there and looking. And she's like, she goes, "Did you see that too?" And well, the half said, "Yeah." And they both saw something there. So I tried to work getting it out. I didn't know what it was. So I called my psychic in Arkansas, who's a friend of mine. She's great. Cindy Bailey Dub. You got to talk to her. She's amazing.
Yeah.
And I go, "Cindy, because sometimes when you're too close to a situation, you can't kind of key into it, right?"
Right. Right.
And so I go, "Cindy, this is what I tell her what happened." She goes, "Oh, you got to tell her to leave." I said, "Well, is it a bad? Is it?" It goes, "No, no, no, no. He's missing half his face. It was blown off."
Oh.
So that's what they saw. But I remember sitting, this is great. That's where our TV is basically. So I'm sitting there, and I don't normally watch TV, sitting on the couch. Everybody's sleeping. It's at night, and you only get the light from the TV that filters.
Right.
And over to the side is where the front door is. And there's I think we came back from a trip, and there's two suitcases there and a couple of boxes. And I can see out of the peripheral, it looks like a glimmer man. like he's glimmering, or like the what the Predator looked like.
Right. The shimmery.
And
Yeah.
but this is the coolest thing. He kind of sneaks up and looks around, and then I turn over because I'm like, there he is, and I look, he goes down, and I just go, I know he wants to get to the other side. I said, I saw you. You can go. So he peeks back up. I said, yeah, go. And he sheepishly walks away, and I watch him walk, and then he goes into the wall. Yeah, I've seen it all the time.
That's
When we
interesting.
came back here, it's incredible. I mean, like I have a salt lamp. I was doing we did a round table one night, and I'm in a railroad kitchen. You don't see it because I'm using a background, thank God. And I'm the seventh floor, 70 plus feet up, and behind me, no more than a foot, is the window, and then you go down. So I used to put up like a tapestry
Sure.
to to do the interviews, so it didn't look like, look at all that crap behind you, like all the dirt and whatever. So it's me and a friend of mine who's psychic out of Canada, and another friend. We're supposed to do a round table with a bunch of. We're the only ones showed up, and so we're starting to talk. Kind of got a feeling like something's nearby. I would sit there and I'd get something touching me, and I think it's my grandmother, who's more of a mother to me. And then I see, as we're talking, the female person that's there goes like this and gets up and starts looking really close. And I'm just like talking normally. And the whole thing is over. And I said, what the fuck did you just see? She goes, you caught that? I mean, I thought you were going to climb out of the whatever.
Right. The
And
monitor.
I had an image of what she saw in my head. I knew what it was.
So
And
what
she goes, you were talking, and this huge big alien head came out, and I said, yeah, was it elongated? She goes, yeah, there was an alien. I said, well, there's nothing behind me but 70 feet of fun if you want to take the walk. You'll drop. So I did a quick search, and it was a tall gray. It was a big gray.
Okay.
And I go, is this what you saw? She goes, holy crap, that's exactly what I saw. I said, yeah, that's what I had in my head. And I every once in a while, I see that gray popping in every once in a while.
So is he just coming in from like a parallel dimension, do you think? Or how's that going on?
Well, I'm going to assume I have two different investigations where I had missing time. And one was like 2 hours, and the other was like 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I never regress it. I'm never going to regress it.
Were they all in this location?
No. One was in an day-night investigation in a state park, upstate New York. We were doing, because there's Bigfoot sightings there.
Okay.
We had a Bigfoot encounter. Great. We walked around. We had this UFO come by, which was like holy crap, what's that? I pointed, what is that? And then it stopped moving across and came at us.
Right.
And then we had the beam. And then after that, we missed 2 hours plus of time. It was 9:15 was the last time check. And then when my buddy said time check again, which was it in all seriousness, no more than 30 minutes have gone by, maybe 45. And it was a quarter to 12. And I'm like, he's like, what? Because we had to call our psychic back in Arkansas. And that was one of them missing time. The other one was when we were driving back and forth from New York to Florida to look for places during the wonderful event where everybody got shut down.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's late at night, and I was staying in Florence, South Carolina. So it was my other half and my 2 kids in the back. And they shut 95 down over at Fayetteville.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, they're putting me on a Route 301, which is like a rural road. I've been on those roads. I used to play games, shut the lights off, drive without the lights, fun
I've
stuff.
done that.
Yeah, it's fun. It scares the shit out of people, but it's fun. So we get on the road, and I'm like, I want a cigarette. So I'm like, okay, I pull the car over, and I notice as I'm pulling this over, there's this really bright, weird object in the sky going red, green, blue, purple, violet, and
Wow. Okay.
weird, right? And it's bigger than a constellation. Sometimes constellations will do that. It look like they're twinkling.
Yeah.
So I slide the car over. I'm an hour from this point to Florence. I looked at the clock and it's like a quarter to 12 or 20 to 12. I'm going to be in Florence. If I drove right now, I'd be there 20 to 1. No
Okay.
problem. So I shut the lights off in the car, slow down, open the door. I'm standing out there. I'm smoking a cigarette. I go, like, I'm watching this, wishing, like, I wish I had my night vision thing so I could record it, whatever. And, and that was it. It did a little bit of a burst. And I don't know how I got back in the car because I don't remember getting in the car. I remember like getting up in the car, like, did I just fall asleep? What the hell is going on?
Right.
And my Waze was off, so it shuts off.
Yeah.
So I tap it. I'm like, what? I wasn't even looking at the time. I tap it, and it says, "Do you want to resume?" So I say, "Yeah, I'll resume." And so it says you'll be at your destination at 4 a.m. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened to me?
Right.
And when we get there, 4 o'clock, everybody's like, why are we so late? I said, they shut the highway down, but everybody's complaining of a headache. The next day, my youngest daughter has a BB size scoop on her back. And like almost a week later, when we got back up to New York, my oldest daughter, who is built like a Mack truck, like she is like never gets sick. We went out with friends and I come back and like, what happened? And it's like, oh, she had a nosebleed. I'm like, what? And they pulled out this square, which was about probably an inch by an inch, or yeah, maybe an inch by an inch square. It looks like a foam padding, but really thin from her nose came out.
Oh.
So I kept it because I had the COVID, like Ziploc bags as gloves. But every time I try to put it in the freezer to keep it, something always happened, almost like I was purposely stopped from doing it. But that was the second time. The evidence went bye. So
That's
yeah, but that
interesting.
was the second time. I was just telling some ghost stuff in my house.
Yeah. Tex has missing time.
Yeah. Well, I've asked a couple of people that have had multiple abductions. I'm like, what do you think about it? He goes, you were downloaded. And he goes, well, how do you sleep? Do you sleep okay? I said, well, I have a hard time sleeping. He goes, no. Do you have like nightmares, dream? I said, no. I just sleep. It's just hard for me to go to sleep. The brain goes on. He goes,
Right.
don't get regressed, because if you get regressed, you'll never go to sleep. It's a Pandora's box. But this is the path of extraterrestrials. When they abduct you, they purposely block that stuff because you may not be able to handle what they've done to you, and you may not want to know what they've done to you.
Oh.
So
So let me ask you this, Cool, your take on this, because obviously I believe UFOs, all that, but my rub is these beings that have capability for light travel, right, or interdimensional hopping, however you want to look at it,
right.
coming here, and rather than a full-scale front-on invasion that they clearly have the advantage to do, they're just abducting us. I think the cattle are government. I don't think that's aliens, but I think the people is both. Okay. So what do you think?
They're coming for Buc-ee's. They want the brisket and the smoked turkey. No, okay, so I'm going to explain it to you how I've been doing this a long time, and I had the same thing. So all these extraterrestrials, whether or inter-universe or beyond the universe, that are coming here, their whole race is dead. They are the last of their race. Think Battlestar Galactica. Yeah, I'm giving my age away right now. Okay, the ragtag team looking for Earth. But they're coming here to repopulate their species. They made the mistakes. They've poisoned their planet. They're sterile. So what they do is, it just so happens that humans have the perfect building block for life, no matter what life it is. And we also have some junk DNA in there that helps also. So we're going to get into a little science here, and we're going to use, the top and the bottom boxes. So if you have extraterrestrial and human mating, there's 4 outcomes of a birth. There's going to be a lot of extraterrestrial, partial human, a lot of human, partial extraterrestrial. then you're going to have human or extraterrestrial.
Mm-hmm.
And if you breed enough, you'll just breed extraterrestrial. And that's what they're doing here. I'm not a Galactic Federation person, folks. I mean, I love Star Trek. My favorite was Deep Space Nine because of Quark's bar and all the weird stuff that comes in. I do not believe they're here to help us or save us.
No.
No, they're here to save themselves. Now, there's different other beings that are ultra terrestrials, interdimensionals, because they travel multiple dimensions, light beings, and it's kind of an energy that's based on the light being stuff.
So I was going to ask, there are so many variations of the aliens, right? You've got the
Yeah,
grays, you've got the tall whites, you've got the reptilians, you've got the insectoids.
right.
So
You get
what?
the Nordics, you got things
Yeah,
that look like Bigfoot, and I'm not kidding, things that look like
sure.
Wookiees, not kidding. You've got ants, you've got the Anunnaki, they're real, and they're different tribes of that. But okay, let me give you an example of the different grays. So the little grays, the ones that are coming in abducting people, and they're the ones that drive the craft. They're like 4 feet tall,
Right.
really small. They are extraterrestrial biological entities. So they're clones and they're worker bees, and their IQ is
They're like
just
drones.
enough. Yeah,
Yeah.
they are drones, but they're based on a biological system. Now, you were talking about cattle mutilations. Um, as far as I know, with the exception of me and Butch Witowski, and God rest his soul, he's great. I am the only person that has mentioned the human mutilations on any one of these programs. And I remember doing it. They were like, "We want to go dark." I'm like, "How dark do you want to go?" He's like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Well, you know about cattle mutilation." He goes, "Yeah." I go, "But no one talks about human mutilation." He goes, "Yes." So I scared the crap out of Melissa Title on this because she got unnerved. You can physically see it. The government is able to do the same thing, create the same beings. So they somehow replicate abductions for what their purpose is. I don't know.
Right.
I think there's something with the DNA, and there's also certain individuals that we may have heard of. There's a guy named Jesus. He caused a couple of problems in the Middle East.
The real
He,
troublemaker.
yeah, he had, he has. There's a bloodline there.
Sure.
Okay, and I'm not going to get into the religious side, but it seems like there's a group of individuals that are human are trying to track down some bloodlines to
Okay.
prevent them from doing things. But that's a separate talk. But these beings, the grays, sometimes they escape, and a lot of extraterrestrials or interdimensionals have a taste for human flesh.
I've heard that. Yeah.
So there are human mutations, mutilations, and the way they consume is they don't eat through their mouths, in their skin. They rub it on their skins, and it gets absorbed through the pore.
All right, Catherine Bathory or Elizabeth Bathory.
Well, it's really weird. Now, I don't want to get too crazy, but I did a remote view. I was with this group in New York when I started doing remote viewing, and I really started focusing on that because I didn't want to accept that I had psychic abilities. I was like, no, I'm not a. But we were trying to do a CE5, close encounter of the fifth kind, active intelligent encounter, where you use your consciousness to ask craft to come in.
Right.
And there are a whole bunch of people there. This one lady was driving me nuts, and she was really not, she's being snippy and snotty, and we're like, you don't deserve to see this. But I did a remote view. I couldn't listen to Stephen Greer crap, so I put on my binaural beats, and I'm sitting there, and I can't listen to the guy. The guy is just
I can listen to him for a little while.
a little while, but he kind of looks like a frog that went bald. But whatever. So somehow, and this is how I'm going to tell you exactly how it transpired, because to me it's still like I'm still amazed at it. I saw myself leaving the planet, like I knew I was leaving, and I was going as I was going higher. More and more of the Earth was visible.
Sure.
I saw from New York. I saw that, the peninsula of Florida. I was like, what the hell? I look up and I see two UFOs outside of the planet, and I'm in one of the UFOs. The next thing I know, this is instantaneous, almost like literally seconds. I'm in a UFO and I'm standing. um, I'm not really standing. I'm sitting down. There's 3 rows, 1, 2, 3, little like staircases. And I look to my right, and in the middle is this Nordic guy that looks like Thor. And then he's in the center of this craft, and to the right of him is like a control room. Looks like the steering area. And there's a bunch of it. It looks like where we're sitting, you can see a reflection in this glass that they have there, which is if you looked, it can be either clear, opaque, like clear, crystal clear, or they can solidify it, I guess, to protect themselves from whatever. So you can see out, but you also see a reflection. And I see myself, and I see like I'm sitting there, and there are 2 other extraterrestrials next to me, grays, and then another couple extraterrestrials in front and back. It looks like, remember the Jerry Lewis telethons where you had the tiered stairs? I swear to God, it looked like that, but with ETs there. So I get up immediately, I go over to the window, and I start feeling my face, and I see I'm moving my lips and my mouth, and I'm like, oh my God, I am actually inside one of these beings. And you can see the pores, and it was weird. And then I noticed them all, even the Thor guys, looking at us like what the F? And I turn around, and I'm like, I'm going to get caught. I said, there are people down there on Earth. They want to see you and meet you. We need to go down there. They're in New York. Blah, blah, blah. I told them where they were. And I went back to my seat. They started moving towards Earth. I saw them going down. And then the next thing I know, I was back over on the Hudson River where everybody else was. And I knew exactly where they were going. I'm like, they're going to be right over there by the bridge. And they're going to give you a burst. And 7 people. And they're like, where? Look at the bridge. I'm telling you, you can see a burst in like 2 seconds. They gave a burst. And I said, now they're moving closer. They're going to be over here. As soon as I said it, boom, they were right there. Burst. Everybody's catching it. But one of the caveats I said was, there's people down there that want to see and make connection with us, the UFOs and extraterrestrials. But there's one woman I don't want to see it. Her name's Joan.
This bitch.
I'm telling you, she got me pissed off. I don't normally get pissed off like this, but I was pissed. And everybody saw it but Joan. She goes, what are you looking at? I'd like to
see Thor, just for the record. I would like to see the Thor alien.
That's the Thor. I mean, it was a Nordic. And he was literally had the long blonde hair going down. He looked like one of those guys, like a combination of like Thor and a romance novel cover guy. The big, the dude was built. He was huge compared. Like I was 4 feet.
He looked like a cross between Thor and Fabio.
Kind of like that, yeah. But he was very serious, very like Nordic. And then they had it. And my buddy at the time couldn't make that meeting, and he thought it was all BS. And I said, you can go ask everybody there. When I said it was there, it was there. When he came to the next meeting, we did it again. And I did my remote view. I said, they're going to be over here, over there. Boom, pointed. I said, take a picture. And every time he took a picture, graph was appeared. So, yeah. But that's why they're here. And the ETs that are smaller are the ones that fly the craft. They abduct people because they have the ability to go through solid material. So they can go through
you hear the stories of them coming in through the bedroom walls. And,
yeah. Nothing will stop them.
Yeah. That's interesting.
That has to do with how you vibrate your frequency.
Right.
They vibrate. That's why people talk about you have to vibrate at a higher frequency. When you do, you match the frequency of the material and you slip right through. I've talked to tons of people about this. I've had my own little experiences, and this is exactly what I've been able to get.
I mean, it makes sense. Everything's just molecule. Nothing's really truly solid. I mean,
no. Well, see, this is the reason why, like, humans don't. Someone said, "Oh, what do we use? 10% of our brains. If we're lucky, we get maybe 6." It's not a joke. They know we have so much capability and power and we can do things like the things you can do if you really vibrate at a higher frequency. You don't need to buy airline tickets. You can just travel there. And I'm not kidding when I say it.
That would have saved me a heartache on Sunday.
Oh,
I could just, if I wasn't trapped in an airplane for an hour on a tarmac, that would have been.
oh well. I'm sorry for whatever your heartache is, and I send you prayers, healing, recovery, and blessings.
Thank
But I digress, Tex. It's your show, not mine. No, shut up now.
you.
I don't know. I kind of feel like a
He looks lost.
wheel here.
No. We were waiting for
We
you
were
to
just
waiting for
moving
you to
it
come in.
along, my friend.
How are we going to segue to what the topic was supposed to be off of that?
Well, we talked about human mutilation, so let's
Yeah,
go into
I mean,
the
I'm
damn
curious
topic.
about that because, yeah, I haven't read much about that, so I'm interested in hearing more about that.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like some people go get DoorDash, they go surgically pull an eye out of somebody, or take their kidney, or murder prostitutes in the river someplace. See, there's your segue right there.
There you go. There you go.
The serial
I
killers are
tell
just
you what I
serving
got to
the
do.
alien
I've
overlords.
got to get you and Barry Littleton on the same show, because it would be just wind you up and let you go. And
Yeah, it's I a lot of people like and it's not bad. It's just I've had interviews where people have like a list of questions. They actually make questions. I kind of go like as if we're sitting at a bar, hanging out, talking, and like you go with your story. Like, holy crap! I ask questions, and he goes, and I literally will start at point A, circle around to B, C, D, E, B, Z, 1, 2, 7, 5, and then somehow I always circle back to it. And they're like, well, that was 12 of my questions. Bye. I'm like, but I'm trying to explain the connection to these things. That's why. So if you, anytime you want me on, I've been trying to get him on, but I do Wednesday show. I'm going to have to do a Tuesday show that everybody streams to whatever. Definitely stream to yours and then get you onto my show that way. And we'll get Monica on as well. And because I need to know everybody's story and just, either way, I'll find it out at the Crossing Realms. Well, I have some stories, but we're talking about serial killers, right?
we were, and you were telling me backstage that you had something that about a serial killer here recently.
Oh, yeah. Oh, recently. Well, I'm born and raised in New York City.
But before we get to that, you were going to talk about the Son of Sam thing.
Okay, well this is it. So I live in mainland USA. Lived in the Bronx, and I'm there for a little bit now. Please don't knock on the door. I whatever. So we had my buildings on the there's a giant hill that goes down. Actually, a block away from my home in a park is George Washington's Fort Number 1. They film all these movies here. Stephen King's Cat's Eye was filmed here. You would never know that you were in the Bronx. So much so that my friend from England didn't realize it. And he told his mom, and you could hear, "Oh my God, Clive, please be careful. It's the Bronx." Like we have, a precedent. So I remember when the Son of Sam was going around because as my mother being a teacher, she worked at a sleepaway camp. And I kept hearing these stories, and it was nerve wracking because, I didn't want my mom to get hurt or killed. And, it's in New York City and it was in the different boroughs. And I'm like, okay, whatever, whatever happens. Well, my building, my building's 2 stories, two buildings together, and it's 7 stories on one and 8 on the other. If you go down a little bit further in the hill, there's a sister building there built by the same guy. And we have a friend that lives in the building. You grow up in a neighborhood, who lives in what apartment building. It's different than having a house. That's John's house or whatever. So my friend's mother, nicest woman in the world, really petite. She's coming back one day and from the groceries, she's carrying these groceries. And instead of going through the front entrance, you got to go upstairs and make a left into the lobby to get the elevator. You can go through the basement because there's a basement door next to the parking garage. So she unlocks the door and she sees the elevator door closed. And she's like, "Oh my God, wait." And she starts running to the door. So she sees a hand come out and go boom on the door, hold it open. She gets in the elevator with some guy she doesn't know and the superintendent. And she's smiling and everybody's smiling. He's very nice, whatever, goes to her bed. So the guy that she was in the elevator with was David Berkowitz. He was looking at an apartment in that building. And no more than a couple of weeks after that, maybe 2 or 3, they arrested him. And it's really interesting, where he lived and he talked to Sam, and he was in the satanic cult, which is connected to Manson. It's the same cult. Is just north of me in Yonkers, New York, and they used to sacrifice in Undermeyer Park. Now, you know Al Santoriga. Al, next time you get him on, it's my favorite thing. Long story short, he was servicing the mail in that building, and his postman general said, I don't want you going any place, put the mail in and get the hell out. So he did it after they found the original postal guy. He hung himself. So one day, Al, he's
I
going in.
remember him saying something.
Okay, so Al goes in. Al. I mean, like between me and Al, we can talk, for 5,000 hours, right? So Al's doing the package. He goes, he has to go to the bathroom. So he went downstairs with the superintendent, took him downstairs at one point. He knows where the bathroom is. It's in the garage area. He goes to the bathroom, comes back up. Well, one time he goes down there and the guy's like, do not go any place by yourself. Just put the packages in the mail and get out. I don't want you going to any apartments. So leave it in the lobby. I've worked with Al. Al doesn't listen for shit. Okay. He does not listen. Al's going to do what Al wants to do. So he's in there, he's putting the mail in. He goes downstairs and he goes to the bathroom and he's there. And the next thing you know, he hears people and chanting. And it's like, who the hell is this? He opens the crack and there are the black robes. There's a fire in the middle of it. And it's smoke on the ceiling. And he's like, holy crap. And he locks the door and he braces himself against the door. He doesn't want to make a sound because you don't know what's going to happen. And he's there for like an hour or so. And eventually he gets to bang on the door and he's like, oh God, he's like, he thought he was going to die. He goes, Al, you in there? It's a super. And he goes, yeah, the door was stuck, and he gets out. He never went back down again. That's the building Berkowitz lived in. They're all satanic practicers. It's pretty unnerving.
Yeah.
But so I was explaining how my apartment's haunted, and there's a whole bunch of stuff up here. So we moved to Florida 3 years ago, and during the COVID event, we would drive because there's nothing to do anyhow. We were like, okay, we're going to go to Florida. We drove down to Florida to look at apartments. And we come back up. So I had a lot of Hilton honors points at this point. So we stayed at a Hilton's honors in Boca Raton, Florida. Exit 50 off of 95. You get off the exit, you go down to the light. It's right there. They have an outdoor pool. Nothing special, but when you go there like 7, 8 times, they kind of remember you like, oh yeah, you're the good people. So the other half's outside with the kids at the pool because they always want to go swimming. I get up late and I walk down to the pool. This is in 2022, around the winter time, December-ish. And there's nobody in the pool except my 2 kids are in there. I have at the time, this was 3 years ago. So she's like 9 years old and maybe a 13-year-old, something like that. And they're playing in the pool. Actually, sisters, they don't really like each other. So, they're fighting, whatever. And there is a short African-American man in the pool who's wearing like, I don't know, silk, like he's wearing the actual Speedos, totally facing me. I didn't really pay attention. And my wife's at the other end of the pool, and they're kind of talking, and I'm like, all right, what's going on? And she's like, he wanted to know what's like to have kids and whatever. And she's like, she doesn't care. It's like, oh, here's another nut job, right? So I get in the pool, like, Dad, come in the pool. I'm like, so I go in the pool, and he's there. I'm talking to him, oh, hi, yeah, oh, they're tough, whatever. And we just started, yeah, JoJo, Al Santarig, I just saw it on the chat. Sorry about that. And I start talking to this guy, and the guy's got tattoos all over. He's got Aries on his bicep, and he's got all these weird things. Super gay, really nice guy. And we're talking about different things, and one thing leads to another. And we're talking about what was going on with gay rights. I have friends growing up that gay. I don't care, you're gay. Live your life, move on. You want to be taxed like I am? Sure, go ahead, get married. You want the same fucking problems? Go ahead. Whatever. And because like my friend, I grew up at a time when if you were, there's a chance you got beat up, and it was bad. So we're talking about that stuff. And talking about like, yeah, I mean, like, there's a couple of times we had to back up our friend and, whatever. He goes, oh, yeah. And we're just chatting away. And he goes, did you ever hear of the Black Widow killer? And I'm like, the one that they caught? Because they had a Black Widow killer. They had a couple of them.
There's been quite a few, yeah.
Yeah, a few of them. He goes, yeah, well, this guy goes into gay bars. And he picks up somebody, and he has his way with them, and then he kills them and leaves them there. And he's the Black Widow killer, and he's been all over. I said, well, no, I've never heard of that. He goes, yeah. And we're talking, and the guy has a weird look. He has great white shark type of eyes.
Mm.
They're blacker than black. It's just, a little bit weird, not sunglasses, whatever. So he goes, oh, he's a stewardess or something like that. And he travels all around the country. I said, whatever, hey, he goes, well, I've got to go. I'll see you guys later. And I knew when I was talking to the guy was just not right when I was talking to him at the beginning. Really weird. And he's facing me and he goes, thank you again. And we're like, oh yeah, have a good trip. He goes, oh, I will. And he turns around to get out of the pool. And on his back is a giant tattoo of a black fucking widow. My hand to God. And I'm like, I'm standing there like this. Like,
just got a confession in a swimming pool. All right.
I just met a serial killer in a Hilton swimming pool. So, yeah. And to this day, I don't think the guy's gotten caught. And this is what Tex, we were talking about this. I've always had this affinity for them because they're very intelligent beings. No matter if, and listen, it's not just a male thing. It's a female thing, too. Yeah, ladies, you're moving up on the, Casey Kasem hit parade. Like, this one's going out to dance.
Equal rights everywhere. Yeah.
Equal rights. I'm just tying my shoelace before I kill myself. But, these people are so intelligent. Yes, sir.
And you're right. Most of them are pretty intelligent. There were a few that, I mean, it was basically just dumb luck that they didn't get caught, and the technology that was not available back then.
Yeah.
But they were cunning. They were cunning when it came to being chameleons and being, picking out their victims, most of them. And I was talking to Jason McLean earlier today when having a conversation with him. And I was talking about fairly recently, and that 80 to 90% of serial killers have had some kind of frontal lobe damage in their life.
Yep.
And but early on they exhibited, the red flags that you hear about, when they were young children and stuff. And I have to wonder how many of the 80 to 90%, even though all serial killers are psychopaths, but not all psychopaths are serial killers.
Right.
I say that all the time. And I have to wonder how much of that 80 to 90% that had frontal lobe damage would not have become serial killers if that accident hadn't happened. If they would have just been, like the corporate management and that type of thing, but
I think that in that tendency that it's like when you quit smoking, you have this, I need a cigarette. There's a certain something to it. The first one, if you talk to most serial killers, the first one was very difficult for them.
Yeah.
But it jacked them up and they needed to do it again. And by the second, third, they're like, I just went to 7-Eleven, cut some kid's head off. It gets crazy. But, there could be something to the frontal lobe. But I think it's also, it's not just the damage in the frontal lobe as much as what's happened to him growing up.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
How were they handled by parents or adults? How were they abused? Because, people this is why, I'm an advocate of, we got to stop, trafficking and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
These kids, innocent people that would never have done anything before, because they're so abused and psychologically they get messed up, they become abusers in the future.
Yeah, it's and there's a reason they call it the circle of violence, because it is.
Yeah.
It's a vicious circle. And the one thing about it, though, is you take a case like Ed Kemper. He was committed to a hospital when he was 15 because he killed his grandparents. And the weird thing about, well, I say the weird thing, one of the weird things, he went to live with his mom and dad split up. Okay. And then at 15, he was sent to live with his grandparents. Well, his mother was very cruel to him. She didn't like him because he reminded her of her ex, of his dad so much.
Right.
And she was not a nice individual at all. I mean, she locked him in the freaking basement, but early on, he was showing those signs. I mean, he started off with the Barbie dolls, mutilating the Barbie dolls, and went to animals and that type of thing. But when he was living with his grandparents, he killed her grandmother first, shot her in the kitchen. Basically because she was so much like his mother. Okay.
Right.
She was very domineering and everything like that. But he shot his reasoning, and this is a serial killer being empathetic. Okay. This is how their mind works. And this is a great window into that. He killed his grandfather when he walked in the door from grocery shopping after he had killed his grandmother, because he didn't want his grandfather to see his wife that had been shot, and wanted to save him that pain. So in his head, he was being merciful.
Yeah.
That was a kind act to him.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about the logic behind it, in many ways, kid's not getting the love from mom, getting in trouble all the time. So he's frustrated. He doesn't know what to do. So he's ripping heads off of dolls. Usually it has something to do with also being cruel and to animals,
Right.
throwing a cat or whatever it is. And so you're living with your grandmother, and grandma gives him a hard time, and he does something stupid. Grandma probably didn't really do that much of a hard time, but maybe threatened, like, you know, mom's going to know about this. Oh, mom can't know about this. I'll never hear the end of it. Bang, grandma. And then he's like, oh my God. I think there is remorse, believe it or not, with this one, than you would know. And and I think the remorse comes in the fact, like, well, grandpa's going to be really upset, and he's going to be heartbroken. Well, I'll just kill him when he comes home. And
Hmm.
then from there, once you just committed your two murders, you're like, you know, 7, 8, 9 after that ain't gonna hurt, you know, because then it becomes you kind of covering up for your mistakes or not being in trouble. Or and have you ever noticed that a lot of these serial killers, there's an anger towards women
Oh,
for whatever
absolutely.
reason, and they're angry because they've been rejected by every woman in their life, and that's why they're going to go out and do it. And it's there. Then there's the sexual aspect of it too, which gets really bizarre. Um, but wow, yeah, I guess there is.
Well,
Do you think
when
it's remorse?
I think he had some. I think he was able to feel some.
Right.
I don't know if remorse is the word
I don't think it's remorse.
because um,
Yeah, remorse probably
I,
wouldn't be the word.
I think he realized. Well, and I mean, when he turned himself in, he said it. When he called, um, when he got a hold of the detective that actually came and got his gun from him. You know, and they all hung out at the same cop bar. That too,
Yeah.
and you hear that a lot too. But um, I am so sorry to hear that, Harlan. Um, but he told him when he confessed, he says, if you don't come and get me, I'm going to do it again. He could not
Yeah.
stop it, but when he killed his grandparents at 15, and when they they committed him to a hospital, okay, and he was in there for years, and he was so intelligent. He's hyper intelligent, very smart.
Oh, super. Yeah.
And when he became basically a trustee and was doing the paperwork and everything, helping with the paperwork and all this kind of stuff with the other patients, he learned what the doctors wanted to hear, and that's how he got released.
Yeah.
Well, when he did his follow up, and the only follow up that he ever did, he showed up back to the hospital, did his follow up after his release. But what they didn't know is he had a girl's dead body in his trunk while he was doing the. He was that good.
Yeah.
Classic Kemper.
They're all very much like that.
Hmm.
You know, the people that went with Ted Bundy. Hey, can you help me out? My car.
Yep.
Look at the man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at. I mean, look at John Wayne Gacy. Look at. You know, Berkowitz may have been just be. His psychological problems probably were uh, chemically induced as well as probably other mental illnesses, and then he got
Right.
accepted by a group, and he got mesmerized by the. It happens in religion, by the way. There are some
Oh,
preachers that I've watched that I'm like, wow, this guy's great. You got to watch this guy.
yeah.
You know, and you get mesmerized and you get whatever, and people accept you. That's the biggest part, being accepted by someone.
Yeah, for
But
somebody who's starved from attention, right? And that
mhm.
connection with people, you get a little bit of that. And you've got
One
a dedicated follower
right,
forever.
Yeah.
and then like I loved what you said before, like him hanging out in the cop bars. I would say 9 out of 10 people that are serial killers either read about them, studied them, or somehow are connected to the people that are investigating them, and they know what to do and how to do it and what not to leave, and what they know how to take care of these things. When I had my heart attack, speaking of something, it's really weird. Not a serial killer, but ever since Al kind of retired, all you watch is these like 48-hour murder mysteries. So I had 2 years ago, whatever, 2.5, I had that massive heart attack.
Ooh.
And I'm like, he's like, bro, you all right? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. They put something in me and I'm fine. God wants me to do more, interviews. I don't know. And he goes, look, have the doctors check your blood for Visine, or like contact lens stuff.
Right.
I'm like, what? He goes, I was watching this murder mystery and this woman killed her husband by putting Visine. And I'm like, dude, I know she hates me, but I don't think she's ready to kill me at this point. This is where you
That
go
was the
too
old
far.
college trick to make people sick. The old
Yeah, that worked. Definitely
Yeah.
worked.
Oh
But,
yeah.
I mean, it's just when you. This is really weird. I'm not big on the death aspect of it. What they've done is horrific, but the intellectual, the thought process, the calculations. I don't think a lot of serial killers get caught, because they got caught by some good detective work. I think in the end they're leaving trails like come and get me, come and get me. Jack the Ripper did it. Um, the Zodiac. Well, they still haven't caught the Zodiac killer, right?
right.
Or
Well, look at BTK. BTK wrote notes and stuff like that, and I mean, of course, he thought. Well, thank you, Sharon. Sharon Sunshine's a new member. Welcome to the porch.
congratulations.
Um, now, but a lot of them did that, because they BTK did it because they arrested a guy and weren't giving him credit for the murders, and he couldn't
Yeah,
stand it. See, and it's
yeah.
when we were talking backstage, and I made the comment, a lot of time, or most of the time, it's their damn ego that gets a call.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah.
and they think they're narcissists. They think they're the smartest person in the room. And when I thought it was funny when BTK was sending the notes and everything. He was fine. He wasn't going to get caught. He would leave them in the library and that type of thing. But when he asked, I think it was the reporter or something, or maybe a cop. I can't remember. But he asked if like the disk from the computer could be traced. He didn't know, and that's what got
Right.
him caught. That's what got him caught.
Yep.
They traced it back to the church. Bingo, bango, see, that's another thing. These guys are so good at being chameleons. That, and most of them they seek out a position of authority because they can't cut their mustard. Most of them can't pass the psychological exam to be a cop.
Right.
And that's what beats them out. But that's why so many of them become security guards. It's the closest thing they can get.
I remember coming back. There's a bridge that separates my part of the Bronx from Manhattan. It's actually near the place where we ripped off the Indians for like $24 worth of Mardi Gras beads. And we come back one night from going out to a movie in like 2004, and there's a field called Van Cortlandt Park. It's huge. So it's bigger than, it's actually bigger than Central Park. And there are tents set up, lights everywhere. I've never seen so many cops in my life. And we're going through the neighborhood and there are cops everywhere. So I live on a street where it's one way going down, and then the upper end of the same named street is two way. So you have to go down in front of my building. Excuse me. So I had a bull terrier. I go upstairs. I got to walk the dog. And when I come back downstairs, I almost got hit by a cop coming up the wrong way on there, lights going. And I said, "Hey, what's going on, man? Like, I've never seen so many police in my life." And he's like, "None of your business." Goes around. So I just happened to have the number 3 cop in the building, in the city of New York, in the building. My brother was, he got taught by him. And come to find out that the bridge, on the other side of the bridge, they found a naked woman whose body was posed and had rose petals around it. They're looking for a serial killer.
Sure.
So, whatever. So they're looking for him. They had a suspect because there was a guy on the other side used to walk dogs and start with dog people. And his DNA may have been on, another device. He was a Russian superintendent. So that's another position. People that work in the buildings, maintenance or whatever, they've got the keys to everything. These people think about how to get access to stuff. Eventually, they never put anything connecting to this guy, and that guy took off and he moved to like Haiti or South Africa with his wife. He claimed that he had a psychic connection and he helped the police find her. So those people, you're always your first, like, oh, you're psychic and you know where the body is. Okay.
That's convenient.
Lock them up, right? But something interesting from that case, the woman's CD player. Yeah, we didn't stream shit back then, okay? Stop streaming. Get some real hard, get discs, get cassette tapes. Stop paying for the same thing over and over again. Sorry. They found some other person's DNA on it, and it matched the DNA a couple of years later to a chain found at the protest on Wall Street. The people that chained themselves up down on Wall Street, like Free, America, whatever the hell it was. So one of my uncle used to be a police officer. My cousin's a state investigator. I know a lot of people in law enforcement and government. And one of them told me they had a whole bunch of people on this case because it started getting some, they had stacks of stuff. So some guy retires, they give that case to somebody else. And so one of the guys that was working on a Zodiac case, because we had a Zodiac case in New York as well, who's the New York Zodiac killer. And he would send notes, hand-drawn notes, and they used to publish them in the paper with like the Zodiac symbols and whatever, who's he going to get next, whatever. So that was years prior. And nothing ever came of it. The guy kind of just went away like the wind. Well, in regards to this case, someone came in and left a note for, he wanted to help solve the murder. And he left a note for the officer on his desk. And there's a pile of these people like giving tips. The tips come in and the guy leaves it there. The guy that worked the original case, who was retiring like in 25 hours, he walks past this detective's desk. And it just so happens that the note catches his eye and he looks at it and he's like, he's looking at all of it. And he's like, where's the guy on this case? Where is he? Oh, he went to lunch. Call him in now. Calls him back in. He goes, where'd you get this? Because this guy came in. He said he wanted to help. And he wrote all this stuff down. He goes, you know his address? He goes, yeah. He goes, let's go. They got 6 squad cars. They drive down. They arrest him. He was the Zodiac killer. Mm-hmm. And the cop that was on the case knew it because he saw there's a little thing that they keep certain things out of the public eye so that when the real person calls in and they got him because this guy was going to try to help solve this other murder.
Well, and that's what a lot of them will do. Most of them really, they'll interject themselves into the investigation. It's like, I can't remember the guy's name. It's from Britain. He had killed his neighbor in the thing. No, he had this was much later than that. He had killed his neighbor. Right. And him and his girlfriend lived in like the apartment right across, from them. And they actually had her daughter come over and stay with them because they were friends, you know, and so the daughter came and stayed with them while the cops were over there and all this kind of stuff. Turns out he's the one that killed
Yeah.
her, you know, and he was,
That
and not
happens
only that,
all the
he was,
time.
oh yeah, oh yeah,
That happens all the time. Yeah, look at all those missing person cases. Like the
mm-hmm.
mom's missing and the husband's usually the suspect. Yeah, there's a reason for it, or the
Yeah,
wife, or whatever, because they're usually the suspect. They're usually,
yeah,
There's
person
only
of
what did it.
interest.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And he goes or she goes and helps for the search for the body, but he knows that she's in
mm-hmm.
Idaho someplace or whatever. It's like they'll never catch her. But certain things start giving, people that are not used to murdering will give themselves away because they get nervous.
Right.
These serial killers don't get nervous.
No, they're masters at compartmentalizing. I mean, it's because going back to Ed Kemper, he was sitting around BSing with the cops at the bar in the middle of killing all these college girls, and would talk about the case.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is this guy was 6'9", 300 and something pounds. He's huge. Okay, and somehow he was able to talk women into getting in the car with him. Not only that, two of his victims, he killed one of them, pulled her out of the car, killed her, stuffed her in the trunk, and then locked his keys in the car and talked the other girl into unlocking the door so he could get in.
Yep. Remember that. Um, Crazy. And you know what? I don't know how many law enforcement persons have said it before. Do not get in the vehicle.
Don't.
Do not get in the vehicle. And this goes out to everybody that's out there that is a woman and or young or has young children or teenagers or even young boys and girls, because the market is it's very scary. You will be very surprised. They go for everybody. And it's not just, we're not just talking about serial killers. We're talking about sex traffickers too.
Yeah.
My other half's friend is not a spring chicken. She's big, and they try to take her out publicly in a shopping center. And she pulled away from everybody to park by herself. And they pulled right up real close, so she had to go in sideways. And thank God there were 3 other guys watching this. One of the guys saw somebody under her car as she's walked. She wasn't paying attention. She's oblivious. One guy came out from the back. The other guy was coming out from the front. These guys like, "Hey, lady!" And they all started running after him. And that was the 7th attempted abduction at a shopping center. I mean, wouldn't you want to put the cops there for some? Hi guys,
maybe.
7 attempts. You know what? Have somebody sit on a damn roof with a scope.
Yeah.
Okay, but this is how it works. They smooth talk you, and whatever. On a different side note, but we're still talking about serial killers. A couple of years ago, I went to an off-Broadway play because my other half works with some people whose son was in this play. It was a 2-person play. It was his son and this blonde woman. It was pretty cool. Off-Broadway. It was great. And we're walking underneath the tunnels. You're basically walking underneath New York City to get out. And the actress comes over and they're like, "Oh, you were great." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, thank you very much." And she was good. She was really good. And she walks, "Thank you." And he goes, "Oh, thanks for coming. No problem." She walks. And when she makes the turn, she goes, this guy Lenny goes, "You know who that is?" I said, "No, Lenny, who's that?" "That's the woman from the play." He goes, "Yeah. She was the girl in the hole. Put the lotion in the basket."
Oh.
She was like,
wow.
"Mister, I got your fucking dog." Yeah. And I'm like, "Lenny, you tell me now? I could have done 45 minutes with her." Yeah, she was the girl in the hole.
Oh, that's crazy.
That is kind of crazy. It's got to be weird. I know you're an actress or an actor, but some of these situations and some of the to be in that and then psychologically, holy crap, this really can happen.
Sure.
I remember reading a bunch of years ago, Brett Ellis Ellison, I believe his name. He wrote American Psycho, the book. Everybody was reading it like, oh my God. And the first 100+ pages, like everybody was like raving about it. And if you haven't read it, read it. It doesn't matter if you hear about it. Don't watch the movie because it's terrible. It's garbage. So for 100 pages, like you're waiting for him to do something. It's about a serial killer. And for 100 pages, he talks about all these little things. Genesis wasn't their best album. Blah, 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 blah. I like to use this type of soap. And how he goes about business. And you're like, when are they going to get to killing people? And then he starts killing people. And the things he does is, I will tell you, by the time you're at the end of this book, you want him caught because it is just, you've had enough. But what was interesting, if you read this book, the methodology we've been talking about, the genius, the smarts, and how that's the first 100+ pages where you like, oh, it's so boring, kill somebody. And I'm telling you, by the time the 12th person gets brutalized by this animal, it's crazy. Oh, cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, Lou.
Yes.
Cool. Says my mother's going to be in an upcoming movie starring Kevin Sorbo. Filming starts in August. That's awesome.
That's great. That's real money as far as acting is concerned when you're in movies. Yeah. But I mean, I've had people you ever meet people that you're like, that guy's a serial killer?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's just something.
Have you ever driven by a car on the highway and it like nondescript, but you're like, there's something going on there. There's something up here.
Yeah.
I've had that happen a couple of times. And it's so unnerving to get that feeling.
I was driving back from Connecticut one night, and it was Route 44 near Avon, Connecticut. And there was this woman, get away from me, get away from me. It felt more than just a tiff.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I just was unnerved, and I didn't do anything because I forgot what we were doing. It was time constraint, and I never liked it. But
Yeah.
And like I said, like you said, nondescript car. I mean, every time I see a creepy old van, I'm like, free hugs.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, free hugs.
That's their standard issue vehicle.
New from Chrysler, the serial killer line.
With the
comes with his own handcuffs,
in the back window, and
yeah.
Like the crappy paint job, and
yeah, exactly. Yeah, new from Chrysler. It's
the
just
leaking exhaust and
yeah, the crank window.
don't even make those anymore. I don't think.
You don't know the pain, people.
You don't.
Having
to reach over across into the passenger's seat to like roll it down so you can get a breathe.
Well, what's we're talking about little nuances that they have, right? One of the little things that Kemper used to do, and I keep going back to Kemper because I just think it's a fascinating case. He was so big, so tall that when they got in, he would reach over and make sure the door shut because he had an old clunker, right? But when he did it, he would drop a tube of chapstick between the door and the door handle where they couldn't open it.
Oh, that's interesting.
See,
so he
start
jammed
picking your way out.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's pretty interesting because no, I don't want to. I don't want anybody to be in that situation. But that's kind of clever.
That is clever.
It's really. I think at one point, a long time ago, it was like, what was it, like 1 in 100 was a serial killer according to FBI, and then it went to 1 in 50, and then it went to. I think now it's like I think if you have 7 people, at least one of the persons has the tendency for being a serial killer.
Well, and the thing about it is, there's a lot of would be serial killers that weren't very smart, and they got
Yeah,
caught after their first one. You know,
So
they probably try to YouTube it,
right.
They saw
Well,
it on
is it
TikTok.
okay? So I watch a lot of that we call them murder shows. My husband and I, like, that's what I watch
Yeah.
when I come home after work. And I'm not
48 Hour
watching it for the
Mystery.
story. I'm watching it to be like, okay, if I decide to go down this road one day, how did they not get caught? What did this guy do
Yeah.
that got him caught?
I'll tell
and it's
you,
so weird now because
I'm in that
there's
category too.
there's at any given moment, just in I heard a new figure the other day that any given moment, just in the lower 48, that and just truck drivers alone, there's probably, I think it was 250 to 500 active serial killers that are just
Yeah.
truck drivers.
So we get the South Florida Fair Carnival. You get it. It's the same fair that travels around. It's not South Florida. It's the Wyoming, whatever it is.
Yeah.
The Texas, blah, blah, blah. And I will tell you this. Every time I go to the fair, kids love it. They have all the rides and the games. No disrespect to people, but carny people are the scariest people on the goddamn planet.
You get some crazy vibes off of people, you're going to get it there.
And I always say the same thing. Like, I always wanted to write a story where the carnival guy or woman is a serial killer because it's a perfect cover, depending on what you're doing with it. Well, and they pick their victims at the carnival, and it's really, it's stupidly easy to get rid of them. Yeah,
I mean, it's a crowd of people.
I had an idea for a serial killer book, and the way I came up with it is I was buying tires. Okay, I was at Discount Tire buying tires, and I'm sitting there in the waiting room, right? And I kept seeing these people go up to the counter, and they spit out their name, their phone number, and their address.
Yep.
And I'm like,
with a room full of people.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, how easy would it be for somebody?
See, now you can be the Discount Tire serial killer.
Yes. He kills them with a grease gun.
But,
it's balance, motherfucker. No, sorry.
But the guy, right? 42 pounds PSI.
Yeah, exactly.
But the guy was, not just, Discount Tire, but think about it. How many places do you walk in and you give that information and you don't even think twice about it?
Yeah, I'm
if you go to a doctor's office, mechanic shop, I mean, just all this kind of stuff.
100%. Any type of medical facility, whatever. I saw Tony Osmond saying, "Don't you people ever talk about fishing and camping and having a good time?"
It's a good time, man.
It is a good time. You know what? Once you kill your first victim, the rest is
easy after the first one.
Selfie. No, yeah, the selfie killer. I joke around with everybody. A lot of people, when I go into the medical field,
Lewis Lent, I know that name, Adventures. Check this out.
What? Oh wow! Really?
That's crazy.
Is that the guy from Pittsfield?
Lewis Lent,
Pittsfield, Massachusetts.
Let's look.
Am I close?
I've heard the name.
Serial killer in question. Massachusetts, Pittsfield, yeah.
Yep, Pittsfield, Massachusetts. I know. I used to be up there all the time. Matter of fact, I was in the area when this was all happening. we used to go, but camp is not that far from where that was. And we used to tell, like, when the ladies would go, listen, be careful in Pittsfield. There's a guy killing people, we would always,
Oh
wow,
my gosh.
oh man. Yeah. I mean, it's, speaking of the camp and the serial killer, we had this guy
Sorry
named
to hear
Woody.
that.
He was a state trooper for Connecticut. And when he
Oh,
retired, really tall guy, like 6'8", long, he had these really weird state trooper type of glasses, frames, and he,
Mhm.
he had a vibe about a serial killer. He was a biker, and on his spare time, he would travel down to Florida. Actually, one time we took my kids. When you give me your children for the summer, I was their mom and dad, and I can tell you, I carry that into my. I am a helicopter parent. Don't f with my kids. And when I go to the range and shoot, I scare the crap out of my friend who is a SWAT officer, a sniper. And he's like, man, you got to work for us because I take headshots, aim small, miss small. And I let a whole magazine through. And people getting under, like, you really like the headshots. I'm like, I don't want you getting up. Okay. I'm just telling you that, so I'm very like protective of my kids. I had like $2 million worth of children in camp, they all whatever with me. And we went to Muzzy Field in New Britain or Bristol, Connecticut, minor league baseball. And it was a double header. And one of my kids was not feeling well. So I was like, okay, you stay with me. And I was icing him down and giving him stuff and giving him some aspirin. And there was another person, a couple there, and they were trying to kidnap one of my kids.
what?
They were trying to kidnap one of my. Come on, we just go to the truck. We'll just go to the car and whatever. And like, we'll just take you. Come on, we'll just get you some food. And it was a younger couple. And I told one of these kids, I said, you run right now as fast as you can. You tell Woody where we are, and you get his ass here now, because he's a former state trooper. And I went up to these two people, and I was like, I forgot the kid's name, Jason. He turned around, and he goes, and I started crying, what the fuck? And I went right at him. Like, they're trying to abduct my kid. And what was good about that is I made it public.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like drunk fucking baseball fans are like, and the Boston Red Sox fans are like, they're trying to duck a kid. Well, let's go get him, And but that actually forced. They bolted, and Woody was able to, get a description out to the local Connecticut State Police. But something was really interesting. I've had this conversation with former law enforcement officers about serial killers, like what stories. I don't know exactly where it was, but he used to go to the same place in Florida, and he would stay in a hotel, which was next to this big biker bar that he used to go to all the time. He goes in, he goes, I'm in the bar, and this nasty hag woman is hitting on me and doing all these things. She wants to sleep, whatever. He's like, get the hell away from me. So he blows her off, and she's really pissed off and whatever. He's like, he doesn't want any touch of it. So he comes back the next day, and doesn't see the woman there, so he's happy. Day 3, there are a ton of cops outside the motel. She was a serial killer, and she was trying to get him as her next victim.
Yeah.
And I think she was one of the first female serial killers on the East Coast. I forgot her name. And true to form, not a pretty woman whatsoever. But that's what she would do. She would hit on all these guys, and I think she got raped by a couple of people
Oh,
at
is it
a bar.
Warno?
I don't remember the name.
Okay.
He goes, son of a bitch,
It's kind of hard looking. Yeah.
Yeah, then it may be, yeah. And he literally was being hit on her, and he was like, oh my God, it was hideous and whatever, and she was nasty, and yeah, they caught her. I think just as she killed another person or whatever, something worked out where he goes, I've never seen so many cops in my life, and I said, I identified as a former trooper, whatever. And they're like, what's going on? And he's like, oh, we got a serial killer here. And they took her out, and he goes, knew that bitch was up to no good. Typical, whatever. But there's a sixth sense that police officers have.
Sure.
Women have it. Men have it. If you feel uncomfortable someplace, go.
Oh,
What's
trust your gut
what?
always.
What's that?
Always.
What's that sign? Like, women.
Oh, it's the
Yeah,
thumb over and then
yeah. I mean,
There's also
it's
some a lot of um, and we'll close out with this. Want to give y'all ladies a tip that if you're in a bar and you have somebody bothering you or whatever, go to the bartender and order an angel shot.
yep,
yeah.
yep, and
Mm.
it'll be taken care of.
That is the 911 in a bar. That tells the bartender that you have a problem. So
So, um, something 2 years ago, angel shots work. I know people that have used them. This works. I've seen it.
mhm.
I have some new people down in Florida. It's great. I may become Florida man at one point. I took my kids to a restaurant because it was like a Sunday night and they were going to school the next day, Monday, starting early. They start in August. Holy crap. Who goes to school in August? But they do. That's why they're nuts.
My kids.
And yeah. And it's crazy. It's Florida. It's crazy. So I asked both my kids, like, what do you want to eat? And we went to this one place, your typical Irish pub. So I'm kind of like, I don't really like the food, but when you walk in, there's a bar to the left. There's a couple of like to the right, you'll see a couple of these rows where the booths, and then there's one long, set of booths near the door, like the front end of it. So we're sitting down in the long one. I'm sitting by myself facing out. I always face out of a restaurant. I will never put my back to it. It's for security purposes. You should do the same thing, everybody, but that's a different story. And our waitress comes over. We order some food, and then this other waitress comes down one row over, and she comes out, and instantaneously, first time this ever happened to me. This was 2 years ago. I get everything starts playing out in my head. She's at the bar. It's late at night, and she's like, needs a ride home. And there's a Hispanic male there, tan with 5 o'clock shadow. He's like, I'll take you home. I'll take you home. She's like, no, no problem. And somebody, like, it seems like she knows him, and he's pressing her. Come on, I'll take you home. She goes, well, okay, I'll go with you. The next thing I see is her dead, lying on the grass, eyes wide open, staring at that space, blue around the mouth. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm sitting there and I try to shake it off. It keeps coming back. And the father in me kicks in. And I'm like, I've never had this happen before. This woman is going to be in danger if she goes out. She needs to take an Uber home. Don't take a ride from anybody. I got to tell her because I would want my kids to know. But when you start saying things like that, and something happens to her, you then become a suspect. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I'm freaking out. I'm upset. I go outside and I'm trying to find one of my friends that's psychic. Like, I've never done this before. How the hell do you do this? So I find my friend Cisco. She's like, no, I do this all the time. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Where do you go? She goes, go up to her and say, I have a caution for you. I'm a medium. I have a caution for you. And then you tell her, take an Uber home. Don't take a ride at the bar. So I said, okay, caution for you, Uber. I'm sweating this out, but I still see her. Every time she comes out, I see her dead. And I'm like, I can't. It would weigh on my conscience too much.
Right.
And I'm telling you, I know this guy that's done it. He's done it before. I know this guy's a serial killer. I know it. Like I know my own name. So we get up to pay the bill, and I said, I'm going to go walk to the back and pay it. And then hopefully she'll come out, and I'll say, excuse me, miss. Because I want to do it privately. She doesn't come out, and I'm like, oh, fuck. So I start walking out of the door, and then she starts coming out. So I stop. I said, wait here, girls. And I make a beeline for her, which scares the crap out of her. I'm 6'1". I'm a pretty big guy coming at you, right? She's like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I'm a medium, and I have a caution for you. If at night, I don't care where you are, what bar, whatever it is, even if you know the guy, take the Uber home. Do not take the ride. Please. So she says, what? And I repeat it again. She goes, okay. She goes, what is it? It's a caution. I'm giving you a caution, a warning. So she said, okay, say it one more time. And she was very thankful for it. And I told her. And then I like, oh my God, I paid by a credit card. I'm so going to jail. If something happens to this woman, it's just like, but the reason why I say that is one of my friends is a huge psychic. He's friends with a bunch of people, and he doesn't get involved because you're the first suspect if you know all the stuff of the psychic because you know all the details. So I avoided that. I went back home. My friend sent me this thing with Archangel Michael you listen to, and it detaches you from the connection. And I listened to it 3 times, and I'm like, and I was like, I was cool again. And then I didn't go back to the restaurant for forever. And the next day, I try to connect to it again, and then I didn't see her dead. So I said, okay, I think she's going to be fine. So almost a year goes by, and someone says, we're going to go meet at blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. And I go, and I'm like, oh, shit, this is the restaurant. So I'm looking in as I walk in. We go over and I sneak in, and we're sitting there. I don't see this woman. I'm like, maybe she's at the college or whatever it is. We get up to go out and pay. I'm walking out. She goes, excuse me. And I'm like, excuse me, sir. I'm like, yes. Turn around. She goes, you're the one that told me to take the car home, right? I said, yeah, I am. She goes, I did. My friend didn't. She got beat up.
Whoa.
So she goes, I always take an Uber now. I said, that's a good choice. Call your dad or mom, and they'll pick you up no matter what. But, yeah, I know this guy's a serial killer, and I know some people in law enforcement, but if I tell them how I know, I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm trying to help.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, just angel shots, ladies, and don't go into people's cars you shouldn't.
No, don't.
Absolutely. Well, Bryan, tell everybody where we can find you.
You can find me at the Florida Correctional Institution. Now that's what I start with my name and address. Like, do you still live in? Yeah, I live Florida Correction. Oh no, that was a week ago. I'm here at this address now. People just stay away from you. No, I'll be on tomorrow night. I have Paul Eisen, otherwise known as Arizona Tramp. He's an author. He was in this whole business before all of us were. And we may get in trouble because we're going to talk about weather, his books and weather modifications, some other crazy stuff, and Gaia. But you can find me on YouTube at Bryan Bowden, which is below. TikTok, they still haven't banned this account yet. Instagram or whatever it is. I'm on all social media. And if you have any questions, you want to send me something, just go, hey, I saw you with Tex and Monica on, the late night or the front porch. Like if you were killing somebody, what would the best thing you would do? Like, just ask me whatever question you want. and you can come and meet me and Monica and Tex and everybody at the Crossing Realms conference, which will be September 19th and 20th. And I'll be there presenting, I think, on Bigfoot. And I'll also be Gettysburg coming up in about a week over at the Battlefield Bash. Just I may be on a panel, like one of those sit down things, but if not, I'll just be hanging out with my cool shirts and saying hi to people. That's about it.
Nice.
Thank you.
Well, don't
Thanks
miss
for coming
Monica, our paranormal world on Thursday nights. You're still doing Thursday nights, I assume.
I am. When I have a co-host, I do them. Yeah. He's on vacation.
Cannot be there.
I know. Tex usually rides shotgun, but I don't know that there's going to be one this week, but definitely next week I'm going to have Ullerson with the Dogman Ranch come back on.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool. I got to get out to the Dogman Ranch.
Well, you get down here to Texas when it's not so dadgum hot, I'll take you out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's no problem.
But last time it was November we were out there? When it was cool?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't mean the last time.
No, it was brutal.
Last time we had an enjoyable time because
So it's your own property? So like you don't have to worry about hunters at that point, or no?
It's private property.
It's private property.
It's not ours, but it's private property.
Okay, cool. I got for Bigfoot expeditions, which I'll be going on soon again when I get back to Florida. I have a 4-person tent, and I'm not monkeying around anymore. It just pops up like one of those, like those bouncy castles. It
Yep.
just, and you could stand in it and stuff. I'm like, yeah, this is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I'll go glamping instead of camping. My body's too old for
Exactly.
that crap.
I
Yeah.
can't sleep on the ground. I have to have an air mattress. Yeah, I'm too old
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Air conditioning.
My roughing it days are in the rear view mirror.
Exactly. I got to deal with kids. I'm done.
Yeah.
Give me, yeah.
Got to
Well,
deal
guys,
with the
y'all have a
bug.
good one, and we will see y'all. I'll see you next. I'll see you probably Sunday. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
but y'all be careful. Remember your angel shots and your hand signals. And ladies, be careful out there. And guys too. I mean, it can happen.
Remember
So,
your hand signals.
Yeah. Right.
It's the best hand signal around.
Yep.
But
Just
y'all be
saying.
careful, and we'll talk to y'all later.
This is the future. Evolution.
The Crossing Realms Conference launches September 19th and 20th and will dock in Richmond, Missouri. This is already being called the event of the year, folks. With an unprecedented list of speakers and special guests, 2 days of cryptids, UFOs, and paranormal presentations, along with a celebrity-filled ghost hunt, meet and greet, gallery reading, vendors, and a film screening. This promises to be both educational and fun. Go to Eventbrite.com to secure your tickets and vendor slots before they are all abducted. They're going fast.